Blake Lively cried with relief when she heard the news. The judge handed her a huge legal victory today, but isn't it popular votes that she really needs? What does Team Baldoni do next? Jered Leto, maybe the creepiest guy in all of Hollywood, if you believe. 9 women. That's a good number. Karen Reed on the eve of freedom. Reed defender Melanie Little will be joining us. You ever watched her watch the trial? It's pretty awesome. The battle between Trump and Elon Musk, our guest today, was in the room where it happened. The deuce is loose on Hot Mics today. Let's roll it. All right, so we're live on TuneIn and YouTube. Huge news in the Blake Baldoni drama in a major setback for Justin Baldoni. His countersuit against Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and their publicist, Leslie Sloan, as well as his lawsuit against the New York Times, all tossed out by Judge Louis Lyman today. The brother of director Doug Lyman, by the way. The judge granted the motion to dismiss the $400 million lawsuit filed by Baldoni and the Wayfarer parties against Blake and Ryan Reynolds, which alleged extortion and defamation. He accused her of defaming him. The judge also tossed the $250 million defamation lawsuit against the New York Times. The judge noted, though, that Baldoni's legal team can still amend the claims for breach of implied covenant and tortious interference with contract if they choose to, with a deadline of June 23rd. Basically, Justin can sue her now for being a royal pain in the ass on the set, holding up production with fake illnesses, threatening not to promote the film, demanding unheard of edits on the movie, a producer's credit, shit that no actor should ever be able to get away with on a set. So he can maybe go that route. Not to mention her husband trying to Bigfoot Baldoni, getting him to, change his shooting schedule for It Ends With Us so that Blake can visit with him on set of Deadpool. You work around me. You're a separate production. Anyway, this is a stunning legal victory for Blake, no question, and according to People magazine, she feels vindicated. She cried with relief. But if Baldoni has more support in the court of public opinion, which I believe he absolutely does, I don't see this doing anything to change that. The opposite is true, it seems, right? If people perceive that she tried to Bigfoot this guy on the set and now she just did it legally, isn't that worse for her? I mean, if it goes to court, which it no doubt will in March 2026, Baldoni comes in perhaps an even more maligned victim and she twice the bully. So many questions, right? My biggest question is, why now? Couldn't this have been done back in February? Here we are in June, and the judge is throwing out the defamation suit. Not much has changed. If you say someone defamed you, let's look at why he did it. If you say someone defamed you, as Justin did, right, you're implying that that person made something up about you. Judge Lyman is saying that Ryan and Leslie Sloan calling Justin Baldoni a sexual predator is not defamation because based on the knowledge that those two had, which is Blake's, CRD complaint that she filed in California back in December, to them, based on that filing, to them it was true. We just read Blake's filing and you'll see he actually is a sexual predator. So we're not defaming him. We're just going off this legal document here that this nice woman has filed. Judge also ruled that since Blake made her allegations in a legal filing, that California CRD complaint, what she alleges is protected from counterattack. Now, Team Blake is going to go after Justin on the grounds that his whole countersuit was the ultimate in toxic masculinity, a retaliatory strike against an innocent victim. He's guilty of DARVO. You've heard that term, DARVO. Deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. Okay. Not only do I deny what she's saying, she's the actual offender. I'm the victim here, which is what he did. Blake struck first in this whole thing, and by doing so, basically insulated herself from counterattack. She set up the whole Van Zandt Shell company in September of 2024, that company filed a bogus Jane Doe lawsuit in order to subpoena the cell phone records of Stephanie Jones's former employee Jennifer Abel, right? Who stayed with Baldoni when when Stephanie Jones had the big parting of ways with Wayfair, and Wayfair said, we're keeping Jennifer Abel, her employee. She's going to, go with us. And Stephanie Jones was chapped that Baldoni had left her to work. So she worked with Team Blake to obtain, her enemy's cell phone legally. It was legal, but it was dirty. She got her former employee's cell phones, which had all these communications with Justin. It was in a fake lawsuit. Then they threw that lawsuit out once it was provided to Blake's lawyers and they could go forward. Legal, technicality, but dirty. So now, what will Brian Freedman do, Baldoni's lawyer? Is he going to say, okay, I accept that, and he's going to go and file a different suit? I mean, he's going to do something. I've reached out to Brian. I've reached out to many people on that side. I think they are figuring out what's going on here. I don't know if they're as stunned as we are, but I'm definitely stunned. Anyway, it's... here's the big thing. Blake Lively responded on Instagram not long ago. Last week, she said, I stood proudly alongside 19 organizations united in defending women's rights to speak up for their safety. Oh, it gets loftier. Hang on. Like so many others, I felt the pain of a retaliatory lawsuit, including the manufactured shame that tries to break us. While the suit against me was defeated, so many don't have the resources to fight back. Here we go. I'm doing it for a greater cause. Channel right now, when I think about this, I think of the billionaire man who, never spends time with his kids so he can make billions of dollars, and then he looks at the little kids who've been neglected by him and he says, I do this for you. No. He doesn't do that for you. He does that for him. So she goes on, I am more resolved than ever to continue to stand for every woman's right to have a voice in protecting themselves, including their safety, their integrity, their dignity, and their story. There are protections out there. Check out some of the incredible organizations below for resources and information. And she puts in a bunch. With love and gratitude for the many who stood by me, many of you I know, many of you I don't, but I will never stop appreciating or advocating for you. So she takes this to a whole nother level here. She's now a missionary. She's a martyr. She's leading a crusade. This feels like a ripoff, right? Something feels wrong here. Feels like her legal team did a great job and we didn't see this coming. I don't know. Waiting to hear from Brian Freedman. Okay, a win for now, I guess. Now we move to, it is the penultimate day, we believe. We are on the cusp of a decision in the Karen Reed trial. Karen herself said last week the defense would rest tomorrow. Today, continued testimony from the defense's crash reconstructionist from ARCA, Dr. Daniel Wolf, defending the use of crash dummy testing. He says there is no way Karen Reed's SUV could have struck John O'Keefe. We're joined right now by Melanie Little, New York lawyer with over 30 years' experience as a trial attorney and litigator, who's now a legal analyst and commentator. She's following the Karen Reed trial live every day. You can follow her, follow it. Hello, Melanie. How are you?
Hi, Billy. How are you? Thanks so much for having me.
I feel like I know you because we watch so much of this stuff. You're on it like crazy. I love watching you on it.
I'm so glad that you're on it and you know so much about the case, which is so exciting because, long time, first time, let's just say.
Long time, first time.
The feeling is mutual, Billy. The feeling is mutual.
I'm so hooked on this thing, I can't get over it. I don't know why. I mean, we're all most of us are justice warriors, right? When we perceive a massive injustice, we're like, wait a minute, what? And I kind of just got off the Blake Lively. I don't know how you feel about that, but that's a different thing. I feel like there's an injustice being done over there. But on this front, and by the way, welcome to all you've got so many people that follow you during this whole thing. So many of them are here. And I just want to say hi to everybody who's in the Melanie Little camp and welcome. We love having you here at Hot Mics. So what'd you say, a good day for Karen Reed today?
No, today was actually, they moved for a mistrial for the second time with prejudice, Karen Reed's team, based on some egregious misconduct by Hank Brennan. Again, this is the second time they've moved for a mistrial with prejudice during the course of this trial. And Hank Brennan's behavior just seems to get more and more egregious and abhorrent with every single day that goes by. He's treating every single witness that comes to the stand with complete, he's been badgering them. He has been complete and total disregard for each and every witness. It's an abomination, Billy. I know you've been watching the trial. You can chime in on this as well. But after what Hank Brennan did today, trying to mislead the jury into thinking there were holes in the back of John O'Keefe's hoodie that could have come from contact with the motor vehicle for the car accident that didn't happen, misleading the jury, showing the hoodie, it's in between plexiglass. And then during the break, the defense team goes over, takes the hoodie out of the plexiglass, and we find out that there are holes in the back of the sweatshirt. Those holes were cut by the Massachusetts State Police criminalist who has already testified for the Commonwealth. Hank Brennan has, remember the prosecutorial misconduct in the Rust trial in New Mexico for Alec Baldwin and the way the judge just tossed that case out of court? What has gone on here is so much more egregious, in my opinion, than that. And here we sit still. This judge continues to allow Karen Read to be railroaded. It is outrageous. People should be outraged because Karen Read could be any one of us. You know, Alec Baldwin's a celebrity. It got a lot more hype. It got a lot more publicity. And Karen Read is any one of us. And this is this should not be going on in the United States in 2025. It's horrific. It's horrific. And the world is watching, and this judge doesn't seem to care.
What everybody who is following you on this trial is united in the fact that Beverly Cannoni, the judge, is just egregious, bought and paid for. She's getting killed in your comment section. I mean, the problem with the whole thing, like if you speak for the prosecution, to me is it's really hard to imagine, and yet I believe it actually happened, that so many people would get together and tell a lie together. Like it's just like isn't it amazing that all these people and they're all and none of them are going to crack. No one's going to
Have you heard about the Catholic Church scandal? Because I handled those cases too. And so when I tell you that a secret can be kept for decades by a lot more than 10 or 12 people, secrets can be kept for decades. I live in New York. We know corruption here. Have you heard about, if the mafia existed, which, people say it doesn't, people can keep secrets to protect their family. I'm not accusing anyone of anything, but what I'm saying is something happened to John O'Keefe and it did not involve a motor vehicle. So
right, when it's a big enough,
chatter,
the repercussions are so big here for the entire state of Massachusetts and its entire law enforcement apparatus that, I mean, this is a house of cards that would come tumbling down. Maybe that makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah, I mean, the twisted family tree roots of Massachusetts are just that. And it goes way, way deeper, I think, than the Karen Read case. People who live in Massachusetts are mad as hell and they're not going to take it anymore. And they will tell you that this corruption has been going on in Massachusetts for decades. And Karen Read is just the tip of the iceberg here. The FBI was investigating this investigation, and the investigation goes much deeper than just Karen Read. I mean, you can see that in DA Michael Morrissey's emails to the feds, where he ramps up and ramps up and ramps up and wants to know what they're investigating. The FBI was investigating not just this investigation, but several other things, which also led to the indictment of Matthew Farwell for the murder of Sandra Birchmore, which coincidentally, Canton PD and MSP, a lot of the same, ruled a suicide, and now he's he's in federal.
So you're saying this is a house
holding.
Like if this thing goes against MSP and law enforcement, then watch out. What's next?
There's so much more going on here.
This is incredible.
This is just part of it.
Are you surprised that the Bryans, Brian Albert and Brian Higgins, two the butt dialers, that they, neither them nor Michael Proctor were ever called by either side in the second trial? Does that surprise you, or is it like, I mean, to me, the defense might say this is so obviously bad, we're just going to take it for granted that people understand how shady these two are, and by not doing it, you're basically doing more. Maybe that's their strategy, and the prosecution knows we don't want either of these bumbling fools on there again.
Well, Brennan didn't mention Michael Proctor, I think, at all in his opening statement, right? So he's running as far away from Michael Proctor as he can. He got Yuri Buchanan to come in and testify about everything that he says that he and Michael Proctor did together. Michael Proctor, his text messages were brought in through another witness, and a lot of his egregious behavior was brought in other ways. And so, it's a strategy decision. Do you bring Michael Proctor in and give him the opportunity to try and defend himself? And because remember, if you call him in as the defense team, you can't cross-examine him. But it gives Brennan the opportunity to cross-examine him. So I think the defense focus this trial, we're calling it season 2, is John O'Keefe was not hit by a car and a car did not hit John O'Keefe. The judge has already ruled that they can't bring in third-party culprit defense on Colin Albert. He's out. So I think the focus has to be on the science, on the physics. John O'Keefe was not hit by a car. The injuries don't support that. The damage to the car doesn't support that. And
the dog bites.
And the dog bites.
The dog bites, to me, are everything. I mean, if I had to pick one thing, it all comes down to that arm right there. I don't care how fast a car is backing up, a Lexus is backing up, what shape the taillight is in. There's no way, to me, it leaves marks on the arm like that. Those are clearly from some type of animal attack.
The Commonwealth wants the jury to believe that John O'Keefe's arm shattered that taillight. It magically exploded into 47 pieces, and all at the same time scratched his arm to look exactly like dog bites. It is under the laws of physics and science, impossible. Dr. Wolf from ARCA has already testified about that, but not about the injuries, but about the arm shattering the taillight. And then his partner, Dr. Rentschler, is going to testify, I believe, tomorrow to tell us that the injuries to John O'Keefe's body could not have been caused by a motor vehicle traveling in. They keep changing their theory, by the way, how many feet in reverse at 24 miles an hour it was in the first trial. Now they're not really telling us the speed. It's just physically impossible that his arm would not have been shattered or bruised. He would have had other injuries to his body. For those who are not familiar with the case, maybe they don't know that there were no injuries below the neck to the body of John O'Keefe other than what those arm injuries that Billy just showed in the photo. And anyone who's ever been hit by a car as a pedestrian knows that a car will leave bumper marks. It will leave injuries below the waist, to the knees, to the legs, to the hips, to the ankles. It's just physically impossible under the laws of science and physics that the body would not sustain much greater injuries. Something happened to John O'Keefe that caused a massive head wound, skull fractures to the back of his head, which radiated to the front of his head, many brain bleeds and brain hemorrhages. And we heard some testimony a little bit about that today from Dr. La Posada, who's another medical expert for the defense. She's a medical examiner with 40 years experience. Hank Brennan has stomped his feet and whined and tried to keep out every single expert, tried to hamstring the defense at every turn. And look, an ethical prosecutor is going to want to look for the truth. They're going to want the jury to hear all of the evidence so that they can come to the finding of fact about whether or not John O'Keefe was hit by a car. They are not going to turn around and try and hamstring the defense and try and keep out every single expert that the defense wants to put on, because it should be a search for the truth. It should not just be looking for a conviction. And I think the more people that are watching this are seeing the blatant disregard for the truth. And as Alan Jackson said infamously in his opening statement in season 1, they just wanted to pin it on the girl. Michael Proctor had this case solved within 16 hours. He called to tow Karen Reed's car from her parents' house in Dighton before he ever went to the scene at 34 Fairview, before he ever saw that taillight.
There you go. That's
right.
That's it. And we all saw the car back up, and how it cracked its taillight. We see that. How it turned into a smashed taillight. We've seen that. 42 minutes of videotape missing from the Sallyport garage. As 42 minutes of Michael Proctor behind with this taillight. How can that be gone? Where did it go? Same place as the dog, somewhere else. The dog is gone. The Bryans are butt dialing. There's so many things. Are there other slam dunk moments for you that are just like that you could almost isolate out, that if they stood alone would be enough to exonerate Karen?
I mean, there's no chain of custody for any of this evidence, right? There are the inverted Sally Port video that was shown in the middle of the first trial, which could have resulted in a mistrial right away, but no, it didn't. In
Right.
fact, Yuri Buchanan testified, oh, yeah, well, that's a fair and accurate representation of the way the Sally Port looked on the day in question. And it wasn't until cross-examination that he pointed out, yeah, well, it's like mirrored, like everything that happened in the video, but it's just like everything is backwards, like when you're looking in the mirror. What world are we in, Billy? We're in the Twilight Zone,
How do you
Narnia
say
Matrix.
ambulance backwards? I don't remember, but I've seen it before.
Yes. The missing video, the what clearly looked like dog bites to the outside of that sweatshirt. There's holes in the sweatshirt. Where's all the blood from this head injury? Why is there blood all the way down the front of his clothing if the only injury was to the back of his head? So many things.
So many inconsistencies. Melanie Little is with us right now. She's got an amazing following here as she covers the Karen Reed trial. She's got 30 years of experience in her own right doing this, although you only look about 30, so you must have started as an infant. But Melanie, look, the one thing that's bothering me, too, I haven't heard too much about, just a little rumbling, is Kelly Deaver.
Don't call her Deaver, Billy.
Oh, Deaver.
Dever.
Dever.
Her name's Dever, and she attacked Alan Jackson for that.
Kelly Dever, who was very rude to Alan, very rude. But her huge pay raise from 2023 as a cop, she made $85,000, and in 2024, she gets $143,000, a 67% increase in pay for Kelly Dever.
Well, she went from Canton PD to Boston PD. She was rehomed too, just like Chloe, now Cora. And then she gets called down to the Boston Police Commissioner's office. That was perhaps the most surprising part of her testimony, is that she was called down to meet with the commish of the Boston PD. She's like 23, 24
Kelly,
at the time.
you're doing a terrific
alone.
job, a great job, and we all want to honor all the hard work that you've
the
done.
right
And
thing.
here's a giant check, and shut the hell up. All right.
I mean,
she's not going to win Miss Congeniality anywhere. She's very, very tough. She was so rude.
Veruca Salt. People are calling her Veruca Salt.
So what happens here? I'm so fascinated. So tomorrow we think the defense will rest in the end. They're bringing their big finish right here. More on reconstruction, right? More to
Maybe. Well, there's motions out there because Hank Brennan is fighting everything. And so the motions are taking a long time. And so we're going to hear from Dr. Rentschler, who's the other. We call them crash daddies from ARCA. They were originally hired by the FBI because, they're easy to look at, the crash daddies. So Dr. Rentschler is going to come in and talk about how the injuries are in no way related to this car accident because his arm would have been shattered, I imagine. This medical examiner wants to testify about the dog bites and the car accident injuries. The judge is not really allowing it. And then, of course, Hank Brennan is going to be allowed to put on a rebuttal case, which, again, we're in the Twilight Zone, to call back that Judson Welcher, who did the paint experiment. I'm sure you saw that.
Yeah, the Blue
that was
Man.
fun.
Yeah.
It was like Nickelodeon. And then he's going to call a dog DNA expert and a woman who swabbed the clothing. And then we'll have closing arguments, maybe by the end of the week. I don't know.
Then 12 people are going to say that she's guilty. I don't think it's possible. So I wonder, do we think that at that point, like OJ, we're going to go look for the real killer, or is it just Karen is let off either by mistrial or hung jury? Likely hung jury. I'm sure it would be the best situation for prosecution and for the state of Massachusetts. A hung jury would be great. And now let's walk away and drop it because we've tried twice. And now we don't ever have to really look any deeper. That would be the best case scenario for them. For obviously for Karen and the defense, that all 12 people say she's innocent and she walks. What do you think is going to happen, and will there be any follow-up case to see what actually did happen to John O'Keefe? I'd like to know.
I'd like to know, too. I don't think they're ever going to let it go. I think they would try her a third or fourth time because that is how far deep in and they've been known to do that in Massachusetts. The investigation was so poor from the beginning, and no other suspects were ever investigated, that will there ever really be justice for John O'Keefe? It's hard to say unless somebody flips and somebody knows what actually happened. The investigation was so poor that I don't know that anybody else could ever be tried for this murder. because it was a murder. Maybe it was an accident, but the crime could have been in the cover up. Will that happen? I don't know. You've seen public division on this case, I'm sure, because you're covering it. You've seen the public vitriol that's out there for anyone who thinks that John O'Keefe was not hit by a car. And the public is so divided on this that I just don't know if 12 people will ever be able to agree either way.
I think of
on
Jack
this.
Nicholson. You can't handle the truth. You know, I mean,
Right.
like, can the state of Massachusetts handle the truth if the truth comes out that it wasn't Karen, therefore it was someone in the house? Let's go to the chat section here. Steve is in our control room, and he's going to pull up something here for Melanie.
Yeah, so Susie's watching, and Susie wants to know who's been the best witness and maybe the worst witness for Karen Reed.
The best and the worst witness, Melanie.
What do you think, Billy? So for Karen Reed, I mean,
I
we're
thought
not
Judd
done yet.
Welcher was terrible for the prosecution, the Blue Man Group. I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a sideshow, and he was their big finish. I mean, this was this was the crescendo. It built up to this reconstructionist who said, and then because of this blue paint here, he hit me off balance, and he rolled like this off to the side, somehow ended up 10 feet on the lawn. He's tried to stick the landing, and to me, it was a giant anticlimax. That guy.
Oh, yeah, that guy. Shannon with one end, Burgess. I mean, no, that was Justin Welcher. I'm sure. I'm thinking of Burgess, the other one.
I thought he was pretty bad.
I think the state's medical examiner was an excellent witness for Karen. She did the autopsy on John. She is the only witness, and she was a Commonwealth witness, the only witness
Is this
who
Marie
examined
Russell?
the body of John O'Keefe. And she said she did not think that these injuries were caused by a car accident because she examined the legs. She opened up the legs. There were no fractures to the legs. She also has the cause of death as undetermined on the death certificate to this day. She has not ruled it a homicide. I think that we are going to see Dr. Rentschler, who is going to tie everything together and talk about how physics and science will prove that these injuries were not caused by a car accident, because if it's happening the way the Commonwealth says, the injuries would have been far, far worse.
Yeah.
The
They're painting
worst-
too perfect a picture. They're painting it. They're saying not only did the car back up, but it actually caught him at this just exact moment and off this arm, and then he spun over this way and that way. You need a video that shows that actually happened. You need the guy's video camera from across the street, the retired cop and his Ring camera. Of course, that's not available. But if that video was there, you'd need to see something like that. You're painting a 1 in a million chance situation as, that's of course what happened.
Right.
Right.
And they don't have that, but it's funny because media was
got.
originally told there was Ring camera footage of the incident, which is like everyone heard that and thought, oh, wow, that's a tragic accident, but they've got it on Ring camera footage, and it turns out that they don't. I think the best evidence the Commonwealth has, even though it means really nothing, are these interview clips of Karen's that they have been playing throughout the trial without any context. And they're trying to say that they're admissions of Karen Reed. Look, there are people who do not like Karen Reed because of her facial expressions. So if there's one of those people on the jury, they're going to point to those interviews and say, look, she said this, she said that, and she's got a facial expression, and she mocked Peggy O'Keefe, and so therefore she must be guilty. Unfortunately, that's the way some people think. You know, the red Solo cups, that was like some crazy evidence for Karen Reed, the leaf blower. But again, the defense is being hamstrung. They're not allowed to call a procedural expert in police procedure to show how bad the investigation was.
I think the worst thing for Karen Reed is the fact that she's texting Brian Higgins, "You're hot, you're wicked hot." When did you think I was hot? Oh, from jump, I thought you were. It was so hot, and the whole thing. And she kissed him and the whole thing. I mean, you and I can admit Brian Higgins. I have to say this every time. He's not hot.
He's not. And you know what? That's why the one reason I wanted to see him come in and testify, so that the jury could get a look at him and say, oh, yeah, she was totally yanking his chain. There's no way she thought he was hot.
But we don't like her
really
for yanking the chain. She's no princess. I mean, what I'm saying, Karen is, she's being, I think this is, she's being maligned and railroaded and the whole thing. But I mean, the fact that she was flirting with this big lug, while she was with the great O'Keefe, who, what's lost in here, I like O'Keefe. I mean, he seems like, if I had walked into the waterfall and I had seen O'Keefe, I'd have thrown my arm around him and, bought him a couple beers. Thank you for your service, Mr. Officer, and have a drink. He seemed like a good guy. That's what's lost
He did.
here.
Seemed like a good guy. During the first trial, and I don't know if you watched the first trial, but there was all this evidence about an incident that happened in Aruba where Karen walked into
Yeah.
the lobby. They were on Aruba, and he may or may not have been a little handsy with one of the women there. And so Karen was mad about it, maybe still, and she wanted to get a little attention from Higgins
Yeah, she
because,
didn't trust him. Yeah.
soothe her ego a little bit. But apparently he doesn't know the bro code, and he was going after his friend's girl. So there's that too. Right? Like, where's the bro code, Higgy? Where's the bro code?
Higgy, baby.
He's got no game, this guy. He's a simp.
There's a guy, the guy on a golf course yesterday. People come up to me all the time about this trial and all the other things. This guy says to me, he goes, "Hey, Billy Bush, I got to talk to you." He tracks me down. He goes, "Do you think it's possible that, like, maybe kind of both things are true?" And I have entertained this at one point where, like, the car might have bumped him like a teeny bit, or he stumbled into it. And then he goes inside and says, "Oh, you guys aren't going to believe, fucking Karen's so mad at me. She backed up. She hit me with the car, the door," or something like that. And then when they beat him up or whatever happened to him inside they remembered, he told us that she had knocked into him. Is that possible in the end? These are games that we play. They're non-evidentiary, but in the end, we're all going to be left wondering what the hell exactly happened.
Yeah.
There's theories everywhere. I don't know.
I agree. So, they had the theory that or at least the ARCA witnesses built a cannon to shoot a cocktail glass out of the cannon at the taillight. Because that was originally the feds didn't really tell them anything other than, what if a cocktail glass was thrown at the taillight, and they built a cannon and they said it was awesome. And that is pretty awesome. But explain the dog bite injuries to me, and explain rehoming the dog and selling the house, and Brian Higgins and Brian Albert destroying their phones on the exact same day and getting new phone numbers, and Brian Higgins cracking his SIM card in half and then throwing it in a military dumpster on a base somewhere. And
yeah, that's
this is all stuff the jury's not hearing about this time, which
I just think I can't imagine that this jury, doesn't know anything about the first trial. Everybody in that state knows everything about the first trial, so maybe that's already logged, permanently logged. Melanie, I know where I saw you. I know where I've seen you before. It was at a Dave Matthews Band concert.
I'm sending you a sweatshirt.
I think I might have seen you there, maybe at a Dave Matthews. All right. Awesome. Melanie, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Billy. Appreciate it.
Watch Melanie watch the trial. Watch it with her. She's just she's constantly commenting, sniping. She's watching you, Bev Cannoni, Judge Bev. You watch out. Okay, coming up, he had the best seat in the House for Donald Trump and Elon Musk's inevitable breakup. What really happened behind the scenes? Fox's Peter Doocy, maybe the best reporter to cover the White House in the history of White House reporters, is coming up. Can't wait for the Deuce. The Deuce will be loose on Hot Mics in just minutes. But I want to tell you about our new sponsor, which I personally put together because I really love this company and the person running it. Venbrook Insurance. So in putting this together, last week I talked to Christina Oakes from Venbrook Insurance. She runs private client over there. She was telling me about a family whose attic AC unit was leaking for months, and the people didn't know. So you know what that means. It's mold, right? Instant mold. Their home became uninhabitable. But because of the fine print in the insurance policy, minor oversight became a huge out-of-pocket expense. This can happen to anyone. It maybe has happened to you. Insurance needs, especially for high net worth people, they're not one size fits all. You got to have a partner who understands the fine print, gives you an insurance strategy. We're talking about specialty coverage, liability insurance for anyone that might work on the property, layering policies to protect large assets. The right insurance partner gives you confidence to make these decisions, bold decisions. That's why Venbrook's tagline is boldly go forward. Put your insurance strategy in place today, and you can get a free consultation with my friend Christina Oakes and her team at venbrook.com/hotmics. Tell them I sent you. Say Billy Bush sent me. All right. We got action here on Hot Mics. The great Deuce, Peter Doocy. When I say the Deuce is loose, I mean this guy, he knows when to ask a penetrating question to the president. He knows when to ask him a light one. These are the things you have to know. Where the Donald is, it's like almost being with Larry David or something. Like Larry, you can get Larry wound up and going. It's not about how, it's about when. And the Deuce is absolutely in tune, and he's getting some of the best stuff out of there. Peter Doocy with us right now. How are you, buddy?
I was in there today. Had to keep it more serious just because there are riots happening out in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, what kind of mood is he in?
He seemed like he was in a pretty good mood, all things considered. I think, when he was walking into the room, the cool thing about like being at the White House, you can ask somebody what it's like to get sued by California like 1 minute after it happens. But he didn't seem like he was really too bothered by it.
No, this issue plays well.
He's the law and order guy.
It plays well for him. I mean, he's like, this is a blue state. It's Los Angeles. So his loyal base is like, screw anything that happens in Los Angeles. I mean, I think he probably, if he sees people, screaming and yelling about this situation, instead of being like, ooh, oh boy, some people aren't happy with this, he says, there we go. The base is...
Yeah, and what's the point of being the commander-in-chief if you can't just send in the U.S. military to quell unrest?
Now we've got 500 Marines coming. Did he have... What did the Trumpster say about that?
He said that it might happen, and then basically as soon as we left the room, somebody pushed the button on that. So we'll see. It sounds like they're going to go and protect property and not help with the law enforcement. But it's really interesting because he and Newsom, Newsom is a great foil for season 2 of Trump, right? They've dealt with each other a little bit. It's not like they're strangers. And Newsom does what Trump does. He just responds in real time to like everything. I asked the president today when he was coming back from Camp David about whether or not Newsom was basically daring Tom Homan to come and arrest him. And I asked the president if he should, and he said, yeah. And then like 5 minutes later, Newsom was already responding that was a terrible thing for him to say. But they really are two guys who know what people are talking about online all day, sitting here watching on YouTube or scrolling through their apps. And so it makes my day a lot more fun.
Let's listen to Gavin Newsom, what he had to say. He fired one out today. Maybe he's embracing this too and stopped interviewing Bannon and Kirk and all the other right-wing podcasters. He was going the old lean-in method. Now he's going back to taking on Donald Trump. Roll that soundbite.
When the border czar said to me yesterday, he did not rule out literally arresting you.
Yep.
Nor Mayor Bass, if you interfere in his work. He said you hadn't yet.
He's a tough guy. Why doesn't he do that? He knows where to find me. But you know what? Let your hands off 4-year-old girls that are trying to get educated. Let your hands off these poor people who are just trying to live their lives, man. Trying to live their lives, paying their taxes. Been here 10 years. The fear, the horror. The hell is this guy? Come after me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with. Tough guy. I don't give a damn. But I care about my community. I care about this community. The hell are they doing? These guys need to grow up. They need to stop. And we need to push back. And I'm sorry to be so clear, but that kind of bloviating is exhausting. So, Tom, arrest me.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go.
Newsom is going after Tom Homan. Wait, Deuce, hold on. The deuce is loose, but let's go. Trump was asked about it today. Here we go. Let's see what he had to say. I think this is a response to Gavin.
Gavin Newsom he's daring Tom Homan to come and arrest him. Should he do it? I would do it if I were Tom. I think it's great. Gavin likes the publicity, but I think it would be a great thing. He's done a terrible job. Look, I like Gavin Newsom. He's a nice guy, but he's grossly incompetent. Everybody knows. All you have to do is look at the little railroad he's building. It's about 100 times over budget. We're putting a flagpole over there. Under budget. I always do under budget.
Were you there for that when he was talking?
That was my question. That was me screaming
you.
at him. They somehow isolated the helicopter audio out. But yeah, that was me. And I can report the flagpole. Right now, they just have like this little digger machine to dig the hole for the concrete. There's no flagpole yet.
Oh, okay, good. That's what I was wondering in all of this.
So maybe we'll have one by the end of the week. I don't know.
Oh my God. So, I mean, it looks like this is This is going to go on for a while. I'm afraid. I wish it would be over quickly. But Gavin is taking on Tom Homan. He's saying, "Come arrest me, the head of ICE. Come get me." So he's taking a big stand. Do you think Homan will? You think they'll go and arrest Gavin Newsom just for fun? I mean, I never thought Trump and Elon would fight the way they're fighting, and we'll talk about that, Deuce. I'm losing your audio here. I've lost your audio. Hold on. Let's get those earpieces. Can I hear you now? Say something, baby. We've lost his audio, I think. We've lost the Deuce's audio. This is terrible. I think it's Peter. Yeah, it was shaky for a second, Peter, if you can hear me. That would be unbelievable. What we want to talk to him about is, the meltdown between Trump and Elon Musk. I just can't believe it. We knew there was going to be a breakup. But if this was, it was definitely inevitable. But to be as explosive and the way it was, the way it went down, I can't even begin to fathom. And it all starts with, it all goes to the NASA administrator, right? A friend of Elon's, a close, Jered Isaacman is his name. So that's the guy that's going to take over NASA. Elon is close to Jered. That's going to be good for SpaceX. It's going to be great for contracts. It's going to be great for business. Knows the guy, all great. Trump finds out Jered Isaacman has given many donations to Democrats in the past. Lots of Democratic donations. And he says, well, no, I can't trust this guy at NASA. We're not going to do that. And, I don't reward anyone that donates to Democrats, so he's not going to be, which is crazy because Trump used to be one and has donated to many Democrats in the past. I'll never forget riding with him in 2004 during the Kerry Bush election. And I said, have you picked a candidate? He goes, I can't tell you. And I said, because, I got to do business, There's going to be a president and I've got to do business. I said, well, which one did you pick? He said, I'm not telling you. I said, did you donate to that person? He said, yes. And I said, is it possible you donated to both people? He said, that is very possible. He used to do this. Bill and Hillary have received big checks. I just don't understand why this is the ultimate break issue. The Deuce is back right now. Peter Doocy, I've got you here. Why did Trump blow and Elon blow? Is it really over the NASA administrator, Jered Isaacman, and the fact that he made Democratic donations? Trump has made Democratic donations in his past many times. The Deuce.
It seems like it has more to do with the fact that about a month ago, Elon Musk wore thin on Trump. And when you talk to the folks around here, there's some surprise that it took this long. But I think the thing that I didn't really understand is why President Trump gave him this great send-off when there was obviously some kind of crazy tension behind the scenes, because you don't go from thank you so much for the key to the White House to Donald Trump is on the Epstein list in 3 days.
Is he? Peter, is he on the Epstein list, or was this just a made-up thing? Was this just more junkyard dog fighting, or is anyone pursuing that, or do most journalists and fellow correspondents in the White House say this is Elon just playing dirty?
It seems like it is just Elon playing dirty. And if Donald Trump was found to be on the Epstein list, we would come to you first here. But it seems like, it seems like Elon Musk was trying to say something with maximum shock value to get people on the platform that he owns, using the platform that he owns.
While Trump responds on his platform, which I love. They're both talking with each other on their respective platforms.
Yeah, and so I think he was just going for maximum shock value, especially since he has now deleted a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, he's deleted the big shots. Do they look? They'll never be friends again. There's not going to be buddy, but Donald Trump does have a short-term memory issue when it comes to punishing. You can get back into his good graces, I believe, if you try. Puff Daddy's trying.
You can, but there are plenty of people who have electric car companies or folks that are trying to get into the space and with solar energy and stuff like that, who have not insulted the president or said that he's on the Epstein list. And so I think if the two of them are going to get back together, it's going to be a while.
Yeah. How about your buddy Terry Moran? He's an ABC News journalist. He had the big interview with Donald Trump. They squared off together. Trump was claiming that the MS-13 knuckles were, Terry, you can see them on the knuckles. That was Photoshop. Terry was in a tough position there. But then Trump, they really squared off. Terry Moran at 12:06 in the morning, which suggests maybe some cocktails flowing, says this about Trump's top advisor, Stephen Miller, Trump's deputy chief of staff. A world-class hater, he called him. You can see this just by looking at him because you can see that his hatreds are his spiritual nourishment. He eats his hate, says Moran. Trump is a world-class hater, but his hatred is only a means to an end, and that end is his own glorification. That's his spiritual nourishment. Maybe they were mushrooms at this. It's maybe I just went from cocktails to mushrooms.
Yeah, I think if I've had drinks by 12:06 a.m., I'm usually just a little noisy. I'm not talking about spiritual nourishment, and so who knows what that was about. But I would say that there is not as much buzz in the White House as you would have thought for something like that.
Yeah, no one's
Nobody's
commented
really
on
talking about it.
No one. ABC News suspended Terry, and has anyone asked Donald, the president, about it? And I thought he'd take at least an opportunity to backslap or slap Terry Moran a little bit.
I did not hear anybody ask him about it, but as soon as the vice president is talking about it on Twitter or on X, and Donald Trump keeps up very closely with comings and goings in the media, and
he loves
who's hot and who's not. And so I'm sure that he will have something to say about this once they resolve whatever they're doing with Mr. Moran.
The great Peter Doocy from Fox.
Who I've never met, by the way. Just because you said he's my buddy, I don't think I've ever met.
No. Okay. Well, you know who he is. He knows who you are. We all know who you are. Let me just now, Peter Doocy of Fox News. I want to talk to you about formatics and styling here at the end. I just want to, because I used to do this. Do you see what mood he's in? Oh, shoot, he's in a little tempestuous mood right now. Now is not the time for question 3, which I had here. I'm going to move to 4 and I'm going to give him something lighter so we can get into a good mood, get on a roll. And then I'm going to slip in the one that has to be answered because it's a huge thing. Do you think like that, or do you just go, here are the questions in order of importance, let's go?
It does depend. And sorry, my phone is ringing. I don't know who's buzzing. Somebody with the 202. I hope I didn't just skip the president calling. You kind of have to make sure that you get as many different topics with him as possible, right? And on the big stuff, he's going to say what he's going to say about Ukraine or about Putin or about the economy. And so I do always try to go maybe to the stuff that's not on the front page as quickly as possible, because you don't know how long you're going to be in there. And I just want to, I know that he will engage on any topic. And so I do usually try to get to the secondary stuff quick, just because I know that we've already got him talking about the other stuff, the stuff that we'll need.
Oh, he loves celebrity news. I mean, if you can hit him with a good celebrity question, I
asked him about the Diddy, when he pardoned Diddy last week, and just because I could, and I knew that he would have an answer for it.
And he said, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, we'll see, possible. I mean, I can't imagine he actually does, but
This is going to surprise you. That was the first time that I've ever appeared on 50 Cent's Instagram page.
You keep asking about Diddy, you'll be a regular on there, because nobody hates Diddy more than 50. No. 50 and Diddy, no good, baby. All right, we're going to end. Peter Doocy, I know you've seen this. I hope everybody at Fox News Channel is going nuts with this. There's a beauty of Brett Baer over the week, probably another golf tournament. This is maybe the greatest white man's overbite I have ever seen. Brett Baer rapping. Do we have volume on this? Oh, we can't. He's, what is he rapping there? Rapper's Delight.
I think it's Rapper's Delight, yeah.
Have you seen this before out of him? Is this something, he's doing the Rapper's Delight to a huge crowd.
At the Christmas party. And I would just say to any young aspiring journalists out there, at 12:06 a.m., you can either be talking about spiritual nourishment, or you can be, I don't know what time, Brett.
Eating his hate, or dancing.
That's the way to do it.
No kidding. My God, the guy was impressive. Peter Doocy, the deuce is loose every day in the White House with the President of the United States. Most entertaining White House reporter I've ever seen. Thanks, bud. Appreciate it.
Very nice. Thank you, Billy.
There he goes. This guy, I mean, he makes it interesting. The deuce. Sometimes his questions are just as entertaining as the answers that you know are coming. All right, coming up, hot mics, hot takes. Jered Leto appears to be in very hot water. We'll explain. It has to do with young women and way too many of them. We will bring you the loser of the week, too. It's all coming straight up. All right. If you are listening to us on TuneIn, we thank you very much. Don't miss a second of the action. There's TuneIn Premium. You can unlock access to college sports, every NHL game without blackouts and more. Looking forward to Game 3 of the Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers tonight. Plus, you can enjoy 100,000 commercial-free music and news stations globally when you stay connected with TuneIn Premium. Give it a look. We're back in 30 seconds with Hot Mic's Hot Takes.
Welcome to LA Golf. You guys ready for the tour? We're the only golf company that manufactures its clubs here in the United States. All LA golf drivers are built right here.
I'm very excited for today's production. It's going to be
4 left.
Anybody hungry? So does he work here?
Work here? He lives here.
All right, welcome back to Hot Mics with Billy Bush, presented by LA Golf. We are live on TuneIn and YouTube. Here we go, Hot Mics, Hot Takes. Oh, by the way, if you want to get in on the conversation, we really want you to do that. Please fire away. You can ask me anything. The Google link is in the show description. All right? Time now for today's Hot Mics, Hot Takes. Rob Silverstein in the house.
Bill,
Silva?
this story really caught us off guard. The Jered Leto has been accused of sexual misconduct by multiple women.
It's unbelievable. I mean, it's disgusting, and they're all very young at the time. The allegations are from when they're 16 and 17 years old. Airmail reported that they spoke with 9 women in total, alleging that Leto, who, by the way, is 53 years old, behaved inappropriately toward them. Some of the women also claimed to have begun talking to Jered when they were underage. So many models, girls under 18. He would throw parties. And there was a guy in this article, it's a guy, Brent Bolthouse, who was a big party promoter. Huge party promoter in Los Angeles. I used to know the guy. But he would throw parties for Jered. Jered would hire him, and there would be 60 people, and they'd be mostly very young girls and 4 or 5 guys. 60 young girls with 4 or 5 guys, and the invitations would be, sent out to, to people saying cute girls only. They would have to submit a headshot to be allowed into the party and this whole thing. Now, Jered, his people say, look, he hasn't had a drink or a drug in 35 years.
Right,
so
and they claim that he never saw the invitations.
He says he never saw the invitation. All of this is fabricated. The whole thing. The biggest problem for Jered is, yes, that they're young, but that there's 9 of them on the record.
Right.
You know what I mean? And in this article, several giving their names.
We've reached out to 2 of them.
To
see if they'll come on and talk to us. We haven't heard back yet, but hopefully we will.
Yeah, it's...
They don't accuse him. It's more of...
Well, one woman accused him of walking out completely naked.
Right.
And she said he had his D out, and he just walked.
It's more creepier stuff than it is. It appears.
Well, questioning do boys boys that you hang out with in school, do they, blank you? Did they F you and stuff like that? And how does that work? Almost pushing, being very provocative, sexually provocative, pushing buttons, trying to get reactions. It's the sheer number of women that is a problem
9.
for Jered Leto. Yeah, it's a sheer. And by the way, where there's 9. There's 12.
We know how that can
work. Where there's
work.
12, there's 50.
Right.
We'll see where this goes, but we're watching it.
All right, Bill, let's lighten it up. Coco Gauff won the French Open over the weekend. Anya Sabalenka, she beat. She's from Belarus, in 3 sets, a great match. Coco was down 4-1 in the first set. 40 love, came back, lost the first set in a tiebreaker, won the next two. Sabalenka was losing her mind. She's very emotional at all moments anyway, but really, it was not great. But after the match, Coco was greeted by the ball girls and ball boys, and this was fantastic.
The ball boy, ball girl tunnel of love. Look at this, coming down the stairs. Go, go. It's really a cute tradition. Reminds me of the Jennifer Hudson show. That's where the Jennifer Hudson show got this idea on Instagram. Every guest they have. They stole it from Roland Garros.
Bill, she is so classy, and watching her with her parents, her mom only is in the box. Her dad gets too nervous, can't handle it. He goes somewhere else. After she won, and Coco jumped up in the box, and they were hugging. My wife, Debbie, was very emotional. She started to cry because remember, she's 21 years old.
That's just a baby.
Her second,
know what to say
her
at
second
all.
one ever. And Sabalenka didn't play well, but that moment was great. The Sabalenka interview after the match, not great.
Not great.
She won the match not because she played incredible, just because I made all of those mistakes from, like, if you look from the outside, kind of like from an easy balls. I don't know. I think if Iga would win me another day, I think she would go out today and she would get the win. It just, like.
I mean, that's outrageous. First of all, the last time Iga and Coco played, Coco beat her in straight sets. Iga's a great player. She lost to Sabalenka in the semis. I mean, to do that, now she's apologized since, of course, and done all the right thing. And Coco, of course, handles it the right way. But that is really bad sportsmanship. No question about it. You lost. The conditions were tough. They were tough for both players.
Yeah, no. By what we saw with the men, a totally different story.
Right. Over on the men's side, maybe one of the greatest tennis matches of all time. 21-year-old Spanish Carlos Alcaraz beat 22-year-old Yannick Sinner in 5 incredible sets.
21 and 22. They're kids.
5 hours, 29 minutes, maybe the second longest match ever. Okay? And afterwards, Carlos, who's just the sweetest guy, and as is Sinner. Sinner's had some
He
issues.
got the Jennifer Hudson treatment?
He got the Jennifer Hudson treatment. Let's take a look at it.
Holy did he ever. Oh, my God.
He's such a good kid. Look at him.
Yeah, look at all the love right
He's
there.
a kid.
Yeah, he's only a couple of years older than them. Oh, this is the best tradition.
This is great.
It's one of them. This match was unbelievable. The sportsmanship off the charts. I love that. Each player overruling the line judge.
Okay, Bill, that leads us to a great question.
And calling a ball that the judge called out, saying, you know what? My conscience is bothering me. It's in. Do you do that in pickleball? Do I do that in pickleball when I'm playing with the boys?
Okay, Bill, a couple of things here. Firstly,
yes, I do.
To do that, 1 point in a tennis match can be the difference between winning and losing. So you do that, it just never. But when you were a tennis player,
yeah,
okay, you're in a match,
yeah.
What happens then? What happens if now you didn't play with line judges, I'm sure, so you had to call your own. You had to call your own lines. But Bill, what would you do? The finals of the French Open. The judge calls it out. There's no reason for you. It's out.
I've never played tennis with an actual judge. The bigger question for every tennis player and every pickleball player is your own line calling. Here's the worst one. I have done this because I am a tremendous man of character. And listen, I was raised by Jonathan Bush. My father, let me brag on him, who died 4 years ago. What a beautiful man. First of all, he started the Harlem, New York Boys Club tennis program. He's the guy that got ball boys from Harlem, New York, from the projects, as the ball boys at the U.S. Open.
Fantastic.
He got them all in, and they loved it. This was a program that he started, and he was a tennis purist. He was the highest integrity. And I'm telling you, I've seen because what he gave me, if somebody calls my ball in and I see it out, I've said, you know what? I can't take the point. I can't take the point. That was out.
That's character.
You didn't see it. Your eyes are terrible. You should go fix them. But that ball was definitely out. And you know what happens? Karma. I believe in karma. It comes around for you. You steal one of those, it should bother you for the rest of the match.
Bill, I have to confess to something. This weekend I was playing my wife in singles. She gets the full court. I get the half court. She has terrible eyesight. awful eyesight, and I have terrific eyesight. We had the biggest. I actually threw my racket. I threw my paddle.
Fighting with your wife?
Yeah, because
in pickleball, you
because it was so in, and she called it out. And I said, and I get frustrated because she won't give in. I said, Debbie, your eyes are terrible. My eyes are great. You're wrong. I'm right. Nope. And I tossed my paddle. I got so mad.
You did?
I did.
Well, because of that, you have given me the courage to admit that when I was a young man in my marriage, I was so competitive. My wife at the time, my ex-wife now, Sydney, this is not how we broke up, but she's a lovely human being and very good at games, board games.
Okay.
And she beat my ass for like the 10th time in a row in Scrabble, and I was so mad, I flipped the whole thing. I flipped it up like that. There's pieces went everywhere, and I was like, ah! And I just walked out.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise
It's a
me.
very small man who does that, and that was me. But we've come
Oh, my
around.
God, that's hysterical.
Enough yelling in here, and you got
Okay.
Howie Mandel's drifting in. Look who's here. The landlord has come in.
Landlord's here.
Look at Howie. He's got all the cameras from America's Got
they're
Talent
all
here.
here
They're
today.
filming him and the whole thing. What's on your mind? Give us a final thought of the day. Give us a pearl of wisdom. Something you've picked up in your 60-some years of life.
I just have do you want to know what the best conditioner is?
Yes. Hair
Or a
conditioner?
detangler? Yes. Those are
How would
that's
you
the
know?
only thing I can add to this. I have my two favorite. I have a conditioner and a detangler, but I don't want to. If they're not paying me, so I'm not going to tell you what it is.
I had the biggest fight with Howie Mandel. He had so many sponsors that he hustles at this, and one of them was a shampoo company. I said, this is bullshit. You have a shampoo company? You send that person right over this way. You see what's going on here? I need industrial shampoo for all this hair. You have everything else. I got one. God's fair. I got one thing, Howie, and that's hair. He didn't give me much else, I'll be honest with you.
That's why you wanted the table up higher.
You have a new table here if you can't see my elbows. Anyway, that's it for Hot Mics today. Thanks for being with us. We're back on Wednesday. Guess who's going to be with us? Wow. Owen Wilson. I've been watching his new show, Stick, on Apple TV+. I love it. It's kind of like Ted Lasso, but with golf. Easy, digestible episodes, really charming. So we're looking forward to chit-chatting with Owen coming up on Wednesday, and whatever else is in the zeitgeist. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on TuneIn and YouTube. Follow us on YouTube. Give us a nice subscribe if you would, and we will be much appreciative of that. That's it. See you then. Have a great day.